Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun channel. I know that for many of you guys who subscribe and watch this channel, this is church for you. And so I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these videos, to share them with friends and family. And if you feel led, please consider supporting this ministry through my Patreon account. I'll leave a link in the description section. It's not taken for granted, guys. I really appreciate it. Many of you guys have already signed up. Thank you so much for the ongoing support, encouragement, and prayers. Now for this video, I just want to give a quick thought here. In Isaiah chapter 19, verse 23, it says, "In that day there will be a highway from Egypt to Assyria, and Assyria will come into Egypt, and Egypt into Assyria, and the Egyptians will worship with the Assyrians." Verse 24, "In that day Israel will be the third with Egypt and Assyria, a blessing in the midst of the earth." Verse 25, "Whom the Lord of hosts has blessed, saying, Blessed be Egypt my people, and Assyria the work of my hands, and Israel my inheritance." Now the reason why I'm reading this to you is because I believe that part of the end times deception is going to involve a counterfeit fulfillment, or at least the powers that be behind the scenes are trying to situate themselves and the turmoil and the institutions and everything in the Middle East to fulfill this kind of prophecy here. Now, the reason why I think that they're actively trying to move in this direction is because of what we saw this weekend with Christians being killed in Egypt on Palm Sunday, Piers Morgan coming out and baiting Christians out west here to make this into a holy war, make this into a religious war, that Islam is trying to eradicate Christians, therefore Christians must stand up and be violent. Well, the reality is Christians, or just people in general, are against all kinds of genocide and violence, no matter who it is that's being killed. So just because it's Christians doesn't mean that therefore we get violent in return, although I understand that at some point this is what it's leading to. And this is why prophetically it's very interesting, because what we're talking about here is the appearance of the man of sin who will ultimately basically solve this problem in the Middle East and join Assyria, which obviously Assyria and Syria aren't exactly the same thing. We're talking about Assyria in ancient times, which encompasses parts of Syria, modern day Syria anyway, with Israel in the middle and with Egypt on the other side. The Antichrist is going to take over all of that and even more land. So if we're looking at it through what's being set up now, a leader, a military leader, a strong military leader, according to Daniel 11 verses 40 through 45, is going to basically take care of all these enemies of Israel. And it's almost like the baiting going on for Christians and Muslims to start this holy war is on purpose so that they destroy each other, one, but then two, for Judaism to sweep in and become the pillar of monotheistic religion. And I think it's going to involve solving this problem in the Middle East and therefore create this highway, if you will, between Assyria, Israel, and Egypt and unify this whole area. And that's when the leaders, the rabbis, and everybody else are going to hail this person as the savior, the true savior for Judaism, the one they've been waiting for. And a lot of it is mystical Judaism and Kabbalah and everything from the Zohar. This is not biblical Hebrew traditions. We're talking about an incarnation, a religion that came afterwards that actually is blasphemous to Christianity. So this is the perspective coming from the Christian worldview, looking at the scriptures, and this perspective is not very popular. It's not talked about too much because obviously you start talking about this and you immediately get labeled anti-Semite, right? Why is that? Why does that happen? It's because you're not allowed to criticize the controllers. And keep in mind, this isn't racism. This is not denouncing people who are Jewish. It has nothing to do with any of that. This has to do with specific people that are described in the Bible and what they will stand on, what claims they will have. And ultimately, with the Antichrist declaring himself to be God, I believe this is that point when one of the three monotheistic religions will stand on the holy mountain, so to speak, and declare himself to be God, because obviously there's differences between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, the three major monotheistic religions. So that is something that I think is happening here, where we're talking about the war between Islam and Christianity, but really, if we're including all of the monotheistic religions, we have to talk about Judaism. And when we talk about Judaism, we inevitably come to the military behind that ideology, which is the nation state of Israel. And given the fact that in my studies, and according to Chris White in his book, and I think his work is seminal in this, and it makes sense to me at least, the Mystery Babylon, the Whore of Babylon, is eschatological Jerusalem. That means end times Jerusalem, not Jerusalem now, but end times Jerusalem when it is taken over by the Antichrist. But it's going to be seen as a good thing because, remember, this Antichrist is going to have military might that is unstoppable. And that's where things like ET, ancient history, exotic technologies, those types of conversations and topics come into the picture here. And it can go off the rails pretty quickly, and people are uncomfortable with that area, but that's what we do here. We explore some of these ideas because we need to cover our bases. That way, we're not surprised by anything, and we're ready. Because ultimately, all that stuff means one thing, and that's the return of Jesus Christ. So get your hearts right with God as things begin to unfold here. And I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow or next year or even 10 years from now, but I'm saying look out for these signals, because that's what is being maneuvered on the chessboard here. So just something to think about. Hope you guys have an awesome day. God bless.